What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Round 2 podcast. This is your host, Nikki Corbett, and I am sitting here recording in my partially redesigned space in my upstairs that I'm going to be using to record the audio and the video for this podcast moving forward. So I'm really excited because I wanted to have a space that I could use just for this. And like I've mentioned, I wanted to have a space where I could record video as well to get this on YouTube, because I think that will be super fun and a whole other adventure of things for me to learn. But so far, I like what I've done up here. It's going to be another few days before it's completely done the way I want it. But yeah, overall, I like it, and it's making me happy, and that's really all that fucking matters. So I'm sitting here right now by myself, and this is the 10th episode of this podcast, and I'm really excited about the direction that it's gone. Looking back, I've had 6 really awesome conversations with wonderful people, and it has added such a nice part of the week that I didn't have before. So I want to just say thanks again to the 6 people that have come on so far. And in looking forward at the calendar for the rest of the year, the people that have signed up to give me their time, I'm really looking forward to those as well. So what I thought I was going to do right now is just kind of a mini summary, not even summary, maybe like a sentence or two about each of my guests that I've had on so far, and just a couple of recurring themes that I've seen that's come out of these conversations. My first guest was my friend Jen from college. She's not only a friend, but she's a sorority sister. And, in reflecting back on our conversation and just our time together, I went down to her place in San Mateo, where she is a police lieutenant, which is a enormous job, and just like dipping my toe into her life over the course of about 24 hours was so exciting. You would think she's literally the mayor of the town she lives in, because everybody knows her. Her positive energy is contagious, and her life story is really, really interesting, and it's really beautiful what her and her husband Aram have built together and with their 2 beautiful girls, and I just loved that conversation so much. The next week I had on my friend Trisha, who talked about her family's, road to getting back on their feet after their home was burned to the ground in a fire in Santa Rosa in 2017. And I had never heard much of that story before. So hearing that for the first time, and just how, life is so funny, and there's so many things that happen that I think maybe we call out as coincidences, or we call them out as gut feelings, or we call them out as God winks, or that we have a guardian angel looking out for us. Whatever it is that you call it, I think that it is just interesting, and we always should be listening to those little voices in our heads, or in our hearts, or in our guts, or wherever we feel them. One of the things that I loved from just talking both with Trisha and with Jen was this kind of sense of just like, live your life, do what makes you happy, do what's best for you. And that has been, a way that I have tried to live for a really long time. I think it becomes a little bit more evident once we get into our 40s. I remember a friend of mine turning 40 a year after I did, and I remember calling her to wish her a happy birthday. And she said, "Wait, is this what being 40 is like? You just wake up and you realize you have absolutely no more fucks?" And I was like, "Yeah, pretty much. Like it's over. Like they're done. We're done giving a fuck about lots of things. We're done giving a fuck about what other people think, what other people want, what other people need." And I'm not saying that in a malicious way. I'm just saying it in a way of, not letting other people's thoughts influence or make us feel less than, or make us feel like we aren't good enough, or that we can't, or that we shouldn't. A few years ago, I lost a friend that I thought was literally somebody I was going to grow old with. I mean, we had talked a million times. We'd been friends for 13 years. We had talked about, being in our 80s and sitting on a porch and, drinking wine and laughing and telling stories about our whole life that we had spent doing fun things together. And we're no longer friends. And I'm totally okay with that. But what was so interesting to me when the friendship ended is that she was the one that, was upset with me. And she was upset with the ways that I was choosing to live my life. And I found that so fascinating because when we were discussing, her thoughts, it was via email, and it wasn't even about me. It was about her. Everything that she was saying, it was based on her thoughts and her feelings and her wants and her needs and her values and all of that. And I remember just, saying back to her, I don't really know what you expected from telling me all of this, because I am not going to live my life to please anybody but myself. And all of these things that you've just listed out, they aren't even about me. They're about you, because it was everything that she was saying that was important to her. So I just thought, that was so interesting that somebody would be sitting around and caring so much about what I was doing. And so I've kept that thought in the back of my mind often when I get, scared to go out and do something, or when I am feeling like, oh gosh, how will this be received? And I constantly remind myself that I think for the most part, at the end of the day, none of us are really thinking about anybody else. I mean, sure, if you have a significant other, if you're married, if you have kids, of course you're thinking about them. Maybe we're thinking about our parents, or maybe we are thinking about a best friend or a close friend who's going through something difficult. But I would say for the majority of the time, when we're closing up shop for the day, we're thinking about ourselves. And what do I have to do tomorrow? What time do I need to get up? Did I get everything done for work? What meetings do I have in the morning? Where do I need to be? What do I need to do? All of the things. And whether that involves, what time do I need to get the kids up? What time do we need to get out the door? Do I have any appointments today? It's all of those kinds of things. It's so much more of that versus sitting and stewing upon someone else's life choices. So I think that really kind of, to circle back, corporate lingo, hate it. To circle back to what I was saying at the beginning, though, was about how, you just stop giving a fuck what other people think. And I've always said for a long time, and I've probably said it on this podcast already, I always choose to say, hey, you do you, I'm going to do me. I'm sure I have friends who look at some of the things that I've done in my life and think, wow, I would never do that, and vice versa. And I've always tried to be the kind of friend where if you're not being hurt or physically, mentally, emotionally by somebody else or by yourself, then live your life, make your own choices, do what's going to make you happy. I will be your biggest cheerleader. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but that was kind of fun. And then, so let's see, who else? So my friend Kelly came on. That was really fun to have her here and talk. She is such an interesting person, and it was so fun to get to know her. And I'm so excited to see what comes next for her. Being in the medical space, there's so many things that are front and center as far as, healthcare is concerned. And I really do think that we are going to see more independent type medical options popping up as the years continue to go by, because people are going to still want to be able to choose and do what is best for them. So Kelly, if you're listening to this, I still think that there is a huge business opportunity for some of your ideas. And when you are ready to dive into them, please let me brainstorm with you. And then let's see, my friend Andrea, who, I really think that next time she's in California, and now that I have this space up here, I'm going to have her come over and we're going to record together in person with video and wine, because that will be a hoot and a half. Because when I tell you that this woman is absolutely hysterical. I promise you that I literally laugh at her Instagram stories all the time because she is so candid and so easily makes fun of herself. And I find that one of the best qualities in a person, because if you can't laugh at yourself, come on. I mean, I laugh at myself all the time. I actually was going downstairs from our office building the other day to go to a coffee shop. And I was going out the back stairwell and I pushed the door open, and per usual, I started talking to myself. There's never anybody else in this stairwell. The building is 3 stories. The bottom story, obviously I wouldn't run into anybody in the stairwell if they're on the bottom floor. The owner's business of the building, they're on the 3rd floor. But again, in 3 years, I've never seen any other person other than somebody from our company in that stairwell. And that is super rare. So I push the door open, and as I'm talking to myself, this gentleman is coming down from the 3rd floor, and gosh, excuse me. And I just said, "Oh, hi. I'm not used to seeing anybody in here. So you caught me talking to myself." And thankfully he started laughing, and I started laughing because, like, what else do you do when you get caught talking to yourself at 10:30 in the morning? Anyway, Steven, what a wonderful, enjoyable hour that was. I feel like what I need to start doing is recording the second I get somebody either in here or on Zoom, because there's little gems that I think like come up, especially because so many of these people either I haven't talked to in a really long time, or I actually have someone coming up and I know I'm going to love her, because as we're talking through and I'm telling her about the podcast and where I came up with the idea and why I wanted to do this now, she says, after, about 10 minutes in conversation, she says, "Well, this is going to be great. I love talking about myself." And I have probably chuckled at that over the last 2 days because, isn't talking about yourself like the easiest thing to do? I've always given people that advice, and it's always been something that I've reminded myself of anytime I've had to do a job interview, because I'm like, wait, I'm just talking about myself. I mean, granted, of course, I still got super nervous, but you also have to remember, like, you're calling on your own experience. You're talking about yourself. So if you can sit in an environment where you feel comfortable, then it makes it all the more easy. But anyways, Steve's story is just wild. I mean, talk about believing that there is God, talk about believing, that there is a universe, divine intervention, wherever your beliefs lie, for him to have that heart attack in that place at that time with the right people, with the right instruments and, life-saving abilities right there. I'm just so thankful, and for him to be able to channel that experience into so much positivity for himself and for others, I think is just fantastic. And then last, but certainly not least, my friend Wes, who I swear I haven't seen him since college. And, social media, I think that's one of the great things. There's so many awful things I could say about social media. But I think one of the greatest things about social media is the connection and the positivity, and just ending up connecting with people where you think, oh, like maybe I knew this person in college, but who are they now? And then realizing that you have so much in common, and that you have, similar things that you like and similar experiences that you share. So that was just really fun to talk to Wes about health and fitness and habits. It's funny because habits are such a theme that have been coming up for me in multiple discussions lately, whether it's with friends or family or a lot at work. Because now what are we? We're almost we're 2.5 plus years out from the initial, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And I said to my team the other day, I said, think about how many times your habits and routines have changed since that day where we said, all right, everybody's going to go home for 2 weeks and then we'll be back to work per normal. And that never happened. But habits are so interesting. Routines are so interesting. And I think that we live in a culture now where that instant gratification is so at the forefront. It's, I want this and I want it now. I want this and I want it now. Like I want to get rich quick. I want to get skinny quick. I want to get healthy quick. I want my hair to grow fast. I want my nails to grow quickly. I want, all of these things to happen, and I want them to happen overnight. And I think one of the most humbling things, especially as, an adult, is the realization that anything worth having does not happen quick. And it does not happen overnight. And it is the result of a lot of hard work. And then, I saw this meme the other day, and it was talking about getting in shape. And it was that, oh gosh, that guy, that his face is so popular in so many memes, but it's almost like he has that, kind of side eye, like wide-eyed, oh gosh, realization look on his face, where it said that moment you realize after getting in shape that you have to stay in shape. And it's like, yeah, you work so hard to get fit, to watch what you eat, to plan your workouts, to, to get to know yourself. Like that is the biggest and hardest part about anything, I think, health and fitness related, and really anything habit, any kind of habit, really, because we're all so unique and individual. So we can't just sit there and what works for me won't work for you, probably. Maybe some of it will, but not a carbon copy. So that's crazy, because there's time and failure that comes along with getting to know what works for you. And it can be frustrating, and it can make anybody want to just say, fuck this, and throw in the towel and not want to do it anymore. So it's really, making that commitment first and foremost, and then having the consistency with whatever it is. And then figuring out what works, and then continuing to do what works once you figured out what works. And then, getting into that where it truly becomes part of your lifestyle and part of who you are. And dude, even just saying that was a lot, and that was tiring. So, man, being a human is tough. And there's so many things that come along with so much of just living and choosing to be happy and doing good things out in the world and providing for yourself and, being there for your friends and your family and your significant others and your kids and your pets and all the things. So, lately, I've noticed this with a lot of people. I've been hearing a lot lately, like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. And is it just this time of year? October, like one of the typically longest months, went by. I felt like I blinked and it's over. And now we're literally mid-November. So where did these last 2 weeks go? I don't have a fucking clue, but they're now behind us. So, hey, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're going to blink and it's going to be 2023. So I don't know, but life is moving really quick. I feel like it is mental ping pong all day, every day. But you know what? I wouldn't fucking change it for the world. This has been a crazy year, full of a lot of growth, a lot of just introspection. Big word. And yeah, but it's been fucking great. Like, you gotta always look for what positives are there. That is actually one thing that I've found a little bit annoying about myself lately, is that any situation, I'm always looking for the positive. And I know you might be saying, well, Nikki, that's a good thing. It is, but it's also kind of fucking annoying when I just want to be pissed off at somebody instead of going, well, what can I learn from this? I just want to be like, you know what? Fuck you. That's what I learned from this. And maybe sometimes that is all I need to learn. But I usually find something else and I'm like, well, at least I got that out of this. And now I know that for the future. Oh, God, shut the fuck up, Nikki. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm sitting here by myself talking literally out loud. Although I have to say it's very therapeutic and I'm really enjoying this tremendously. So once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming along this journey with me. Super excited to continue to watch it unfold. And as always, please reach out if you want to come and chat, or if you have a friend that you think would be fun to come and chat. Love it. Love to hear it. At Round 2 Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Certainly need to step up my game in both of those areas. It will be happening sooner than later. And everybody, have a great week. Happy Monday. Go do something good. Go do something good for yourself. Love yourself. You got this. Happy week. Let's go. We'll talk to you next week.